Hi everyone, Chris here, and today I wanted to dive just a little bit deeper into formative assessments. And I got some great feedback and some additional questions, so I figured it's the perfect time to keep going with this. So there are several different ways to use formative assessments, and the first is when you're actually producing your instructional materials, when you're putting together a course or a workshop. And so in here, you're using the formative assessment to assess and inform the way you're putting the course together and your approach in doing this. So the three basic ways that I like to do it are either doing a one-on-one session with a learner and showing them essentially what I have so far. This is great with really light, sometimes hand-drawn pieces of a framework and a wireframe put together so that you can move through the navigation and have the content before you spend too much time doing the illustrations and doing the different pieces. And sometimes, often this is when you'll hear my voice in the e-learning rather than having a pro do it, because if something's confusing, you don't want to have to go back to the pro and have them redo the voiceover. So the one-on-one is a great way to do that. Another one is using a small group. And then the last one is actually doing a field trial or a pilot study. And with each of those, I, with an unlimited budget and unlimited time, I'd love to do all three at the different stages of completion that way. So as you move from having a really rough version to having something more polished, moving through and doing each of those in turn would be great. Not always possible. So once the course is written and you're in the course with learners, the approach you take for a formative assessment changes if you're in person or via video, but live, or if you're not live using a piece of e-learning. So when you're doing an in-person formative assessment, this is where it's great to get like a 1 or 2 sentence summary of what just happened from a student. And there are a couple of ways to do that. You can just, in the conversation, weave it in so that you ask for a summary from a student. Another way is to do like everyone's favorite activity, the pair and share, where, all right, pair up with the person next to you and we're all going to share after 5 minutes. And then one that's kind of popular in K-12 is the exit ticket, where I saw this done really well. A teacher would go and buy index cards, and they had 1 or 2 questions that could be incomplete sentences. It was just to really just check for that understanding. And really, that's all that the formative is at that stage, is checking for understanding. So in an online or an e-learning kind of situation, there are 3 ways that I like to use it in a formative assessment. The first is a self-assessment, just how do you feel so far, and sort of grabbing that data. The second is a micro quiz, so 1 or 2 questions, sort of like in the flow of the e-learning, to check for understanding. And then, I said it yesterday, the branching scenarios. I just love branching because it's fun. And especially, so when you're in a face-to-face situation, you're going to give immediate feedback because you're there. And when you're developing formative assessments inside of an e-learning situation, it's really important to build in that immediate feedback and do the redirection if the students aren't getting it. Also, in an e-learning situation, this is where really having some rich data can help, because if a small number of students aren't understanding your approach to the way you're teaching something, then you can add in some remediation for students who either don't have the background knowledge or for whatever reason aren't getting it. But the larger that number grows, to the point where if you are getting 80% of students not understanding the concept you're trying to teach in the way you're trying to teach it, that's not the students, that's you. So you really need to capture that data. So you need immediate feedback and then data capture so that you can go back and keep things moving. Anyway, That's for today. So I will see you tomorrow. Bye.